there's a major crackdown on the PFI. Nationwide raids against PFI in 13 states are going on currently. Opposition-ruled states are currently being raided by the NIA.
I'm sure there will be enough incriminating material to ban the PFI. This should have happened at least 24 months ago.
Back on with the latest developments on the largest ever crackdown internally on any outfit which was engaging in activities that were hurtful to the country. Anti-India activities. It's a massive crackdown on the organization that is PFI. 13 states, 106 locations across the country that have been tapped, and more than 100 office bearers who have been arrested so far. A lot of them have already been produced in court. Many of them across the country who have been arrested will now be brought into the national capital after transit remand has been procured. Now, major recoveries of incriminating evidence have been made. Multiple accused have been produced, like I said, in court. CNN News 18 has also accessed the NIA FIR based on which search operations were conducted. The FIR cites conspiracy to wage war against the government of India. 2 cases have been lodged under UAPA. But the Enforcement Directorate, 40 officers have also gotten out on the streets to try and crack down on the various activities. Bank accounts have been frozen. Huge amounts of cash has also been seized, but so there are cases that are registered even under PMLA. So let's try and see, get an understanding of this entire pan-India crackdown. It's a mega pan-India crackdown, multi-agency raids which have been conducted. The states that have been covered or where raids have been conducted: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Karnataka, Telengana, Delhi, Rajasthan. There are Uttar Pradesh and of course Bihar and Maharashtra. These are the states where the Manipur, Assam also has seen raids. So it's as good as a pan-India crackdown which has happened on the various wings, outfits of the PFI and its, of course, subsidiaries and sister organizations. So it's a pan-India crackdown that's happened. Let's try and get you the inside scoop. How this was all planned. More than 3 months in planning, weeks of recce and targeting the locations of those who were the key people who needed to be arrested. And of course, it all started midnight yesterday and into the wee hours today. Step 1 was a pan-India raids that were planned 3 months ago. Then then all locations were verified. Targets were checked nearly a week ago to determine their exact locations. The government monitored the preparations of the raids very closely with the IB director, the NSA, the NIA DG, all present in the control room 1 a.m. onwards. The raids teams to non-BJP states were attached with the CRPF. State police helped wherever it is in BJP-ruled states. NIA teams, including the DG in the control room since 12 a.m., like I said. And, of course, IB in the control room, monitored by Director Tapan Deka, who was present. NSA Ajit Doval was also there, along with at the control room from 1 a.m. onwards. And very clearly, well thought out, comprehensive crackdown, with the ED also giving support and cracking down on those who are involved in the financial irregularities aspect. Ananya now joins us with more details. Ananya, it's been a rainy day, but it's also in Delhi, but it's also rained crackdown on the PFI.
Yes, Anand, and I would like to say that it's a raining, in fact, knockdown on these terror outfits like the Popular Front of India, and a massive operation being conducted by the National Investigation Agency. More than 100 arrests, particularly pan-India operations going out in all states almost, and a big crackdown on such a terror outfitter, because remember that PFI has been under the scanner of the government for a very long time, whether it's the hijab protests in Karnataka, whether it is with regards to other states in Uttar Pradesh. PFI links were drawn not only in the CAA protests but also in the recent protest over Nupur Sharma's remarks. A lot of PFI angles coming in fact, in various other crimes of Uttar Pradesh, also PFI links have been drawn. In the Udaipur killings, PFI links were drawn. And now the government thought of going full-blown against this organization, because remember, it is still not a banned organization, but the kind of probe we see, the kind of investigation that is being conducted by the NIA, we might also see that sooner or later this organization is banned by, in fact, the government of India. But a very a big operation being conducted by the National Investigation Agency, being monitored by the NSA himself. So we can see how crucial this, in fact, operation was, that the NSA and other important people were actually monitoring this whole probe. Targets were logged at least a week ago, all locations checked, and a very clean operation being conducted by, in fact, the National Investigation Agency and the other enforcement agencies taking
Well, so far, how many people, how many of the PFI members have been brought into court in Delhi? Are all those who've been arrested, will they all be brought to Delhi?
Well, as far as we know, that at this moment of time, as we speak, almost 18 people have been brought inside the Patiala House courtroom. Special NIA judge, in fact, Shailendra Malik would be hearing the remand application that the NIA would be seeking. Remember that only 3 people were arrested from the national capital, and what we are given to understand is that the other 15 that would be produced would be from the other states, from the neighboring states, and for the states from where a transit remand is necessary, the same would be done, and then only they would be produced before the
they will be produced. So it could happen between today, this evening, and also the next morning. And of course tomorrow morning. Ananya, I've got Ashish Mehrishi, so we'll talk about the financial angle. Ashish, Ananya saying so far 18 people have been produced at the Patiala House Court, 3 arrests in Delhi, but 15 people are from other states who have already been brought in. Transit remand is being sought. But the ED has also been active. They went and sealed the Navasheva office, Navi Mumbai office of the PFI. There were documents that were seized there. Money laundering case on the people, the arrests that have happened in Delhi. Take us through the details. Where has the ED been involved?
So, if you remember a few months back, we broke the story about the ED charge sheet.
Yes.
And, when we went through the content of the charge sheet, it was very much visible, Anand, that this organization is bound to get banned. Because the kind of activities they were involved in, the kind of money they were collecting, it is mind-boggling. Yeah. It is around 120 crore rupees that came into their bank accounts through various routes, including Hawala channels. And that all that money has been used in various activities. If you go through the content of the charge sheet, it says, the money was used for anti-CA protest, inciting violence during the Delhi riots. Then they were also using social media, so money was being spent there as well. There were posters related to Babri Masjid. That was also, if you remember, that was circulated. Yeah. The money was again used there. There was, for NRC and Common Civil Code, again, they were basically protest, and, money was being used. Even for Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar, these activities have been identified. There are so many examples till now. I'll give you one example which says that, in Kaleem Pasha, he's supposed to be the SDPI, which is supposed to be the sister concern of PFI. He received, and there is a Chinese angle, because he received around 5 lakh rupees from a Chinese company into his bank account, and then this company is named Jump Monkey Promotions India. This basically is a Chinese company. For no rhyme or reason, money was paid, and that money was basically used for terror activities. There is another example where, there is the UPATS arrested a person called Kaleem Pasha, and, he was caught with IEDs, pistol, live cartridges. So obviously there was terror angle into it, and around 3.5 lakh rupees went from PFI into his personal bank account. So there's not only one example that you're talking about, there are numerous examples. And more importantly, Anand, money has been coming from various countries: UAE, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. All these countries, money is collected in cash, then it comes through Hawala channels into India. From there the money is submitted into various bank accounts. In fact, 600 individuals have been identified. 2,600 bank accounts, they have gone through, and then they identified that this basically money comes through Hawala channel. Small amounts are submitted into these bank accounts, and further it is shown as donations. So there are various ways and means to get this money, and ultimately using it PFI activities, nefarious PFI activities, which are basically anti-national.
You've been tracking the financial crimes and also the financial departments or the wing of the government that cracks down on it. Have they done a thorough job? Because these charges will have to stand the test of legal scrutiny. And I keep repeating this, that PFI has got a very strong legal battery. They've got money and they've got a legal battery in place that uses the law to help them and then turns around to subvert the same law.
So that is what I'm saying. There are examples. That is why a person who's caught with live cartridges, a pistol, an IED, and the money is coming from PFI for all this. So there are examples that they,
which they will try and prove and say that there's a clearly subversive activities and interest of India was being compromised.
Yeah, and there has been physical verification. There are so many cases where physical verification of bank accounts have been done. So the person does not exist, but the money is coming into that
money is still coming
into that bank account. There is a rickshaw puller whose account has been used. He doesn't even know for why his account has been used. He is not even aware of it. So these activities certainly prove that. And ultimately, who's the beneficiary? Where is the money going? It is going into the bank account of PFI. So as of now, 23 bank accounts of PFI and around 10 bank accounts of Rehab India have been attached till now.
Rehab India is this community service wing of the PFI. So they have got multiple angles, multiple arms, and each one of them tends to function as they are independent, but they are all connected to this major core hydra. This is a multi-tentacled hydra, but the core is the PFI, and that's the branch. Or that's the big trunk or the big tree from where there are many offshoots.
And Anand, there is one more highlight of the charge sheet is that they did a search operation. There was a search operation which was done in the south of India in Unity House in Calicut, and they found that there is basically hit squad which is being carved out of of the entire system of PFI, and their training is basically happening in various countries. Around 1,800 to 2,000 members are being trained,
to become their hit squad.
Yeah, their hit squad, and they planned an attack even on the BJP and RSS, but they failed in the year 2020 because the ED at that point
arrested just about, I think, a day or two before they were going to do that. We did that story here.
So these are evidences which will actually help the enforcement directorate to build up a strong case, because these cases obviously have to stand on their own leg in the court of law. So obviously they have certain good data with them, good evidence with them, and I believe their cases should stand in the court.
Well, and thankfully, left arm that speaks to be left hand seems to be speaking with the right hand when we talk about the investigative wings of the government, contrary to situations in the past. So they all seem to be working in tandem. Ashish, thank you for your inputs. Swapnil Kothari, Pathikrit Payan, and Arvind Kumar Jainji with us this evening. On the Nation at 5. A.K. Jainji, der aaye durust aaye. Will you say that finally they have cracked down, or do you believe ki puri taiyari ke saath aaye?
No, it's already too late in my opinion. I have been advocating it for a number of years. I saw the role of PFI during CA and RC riots at Lucknow. I found out the organizational capacity of these people. Within minutes, they organized thousands of people on road, and OB vans of various media houses were burnt down. DG had to rush to the scene from his office. So, and I have seen it at various other places also during recent attacks on police at Prayagraj and Kanpur, same thing. And so many incidents have taken place, and this crackdown is welcome, and associating ED with it is also very welcome step, because money laundering at large scale is involved. PMLA sections are involved for which ED is competent. And NIA has been involved because in several states where there is no BJP government, they would not have supported, they would not have carried out the raids. So NIA, supported by central forces, is the right strategy, and I think it will yield results, and it will have massive impact throughout the country.
Gee, let us hope that the impact is strong and this stands the test of legal scrutiny. Swapnil Kothari is a lawyer, and there is a reason why I keep underlining this entire aspect of test of legal scrutiny. Let's try and understand the organization structure. This is another big exclusive input, courtesy our investigations editor Manoj Gupta. I have to say that our reportage has been at the forefront of this entire crackdown. We were the first channel to break this information that there is a crackdown that is happening. I'll get to that in just a bit. Here is the information that we are getting. The inner workings of the PFI and how this entire organization is structured. The chairman is OMA Salam. The vice chairman is EM Abdul Rahman. The general secretary is Anis Ahmed. Then there are other secretaries under him, that is VP Nasruddin, Afsar Pasha and Mohammad Shakif. Then there are core committees which are conducted. The PFI operations are handled by 15 councils. The key operations are run by 4 departments. So these 4 departments are the expansion department, the guidance department. They also have a spy department, physical training department. Now this physical training department, one of the aspects is the hit squad, which Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And there was similar training that was being imparted with weapons, IEDs, etc. even in Bihar and also in Karnataka when the raids had happened. Overseas wings. The overseas wings are in Saudi Arabia, which is headed by Sharafuddin Pazehari. UAE, headed by Noshad Badriuddin. Oman, headed by Ashfaq. In Qatar, it is headed by Dr. Taj Alwa. And in Turkey, it's headed by NM Kuryakal. So these people are responsible for collection there, increasing the cadre base there, and then further going ahead and propagating the objectives of the PFI back in India and then routing those funds back in India. So this is a multi-headed hydra, Pathikrit Pine, not an easy one. Not an easy one to crack. And if they had to go after the entire organization, they had to go from top to bottom.
Yes, Anand, first of all, let me say that I must congratulate the agencies because if we have to compare it, I would rather compare the kind of coordination with the Balakot strike in terms of the level of intelligence coordination, the kind of logistical inputs, the logistical preparations, the kind of confidentiality they had to keep, the level of coordination between IB, ED, NIA, and possibly even DRI. There was this incident in 2018 when in Jharkhand the PFI was banned, and unfortunately the Jharkhand High Court actually set aside that ban, and that was something that was going in the minds of the agencies, that if you ban it without having a rock solid foolproof evidence in place, you don't it may not pass the test of scrutiny in the court because they have very good lawyers on their side also. So what I think, Anand, that would happen, I'm sure there will be more arrests based on the interrogations and the forensic analysis of all the electronic devices. I think the template that would be there possibly in terms of investigation and thereafter will be the Bhima Koregaon template, because as you peel the layers off, you will see there are sinister elements inside plants. And see in Bihar, there was this report they've already trained 15,000 youth in arms.
Yes.
So what are they doing with that? Are they actually preparing to wage a war? And that is why the PMLA acts or the Section
UAPA.
121 of IPC, UAPA and the PMLA, both I think they will be charged under. And I think some of them might even go to the court to get some kind of a stay order relief. I am sure they will not get that kind of, because once you have these charges of waging a war, you don't get relief so soon. But the bigger concern, I think it's just a step one in the whole process. You have to deal with the radicalized lot. I mean, I'm sure as an organization, they have the succession plan in place. The top 100 might be in jail. The next 100 will try to take over, have another name and carry on with the operations. How do you de-radicalize? That is a major challenge. And how do you deal with the next thing? Because, and I'm sure the government is careful about this as well. So there are multifaceted battles they have to fight. First of all, if they go for the banning, they have to fight it out in the court of law. And at the same time, how do you deal with the radicalized trained youth already? How do you de-radicalize that? The de-radicalization architecture is something very important. Unfortunately, the forces in the country, they are so much involved in the day-to-day tactical operations. It's not their job. So something else has to be there in terms of defanging them. That is something very important. Otherwise, tomorrow, like CIMI gave rise to PFI, tomorrow there might be another organization coming up with some another name like Peace or Foundation of India or some Nobel Foundation of India, and then they'll do the same thing. So it's a work in progress, I would rather say, but it's a great step in the right direction.
No, and not just that. See, SIMI, Student Islamic Movement of India, became Indian Mujahideen, and then it became Popular Front of India. See how they evolved even with their names. This is an organization that backed a man who stood in court and said, I don't even earn for 5,000 rupees, but they had the ability to pay more than 1 crore in legal fees as far as the Hadia case was concerned, just so that they knew that if they win one case, they will be able to smother the remaining remaining 999. The other fact is they go in the hijab matter, they go to the High Court and say that hijab is an essential religious practice in Islam. In the Supreme Court, they tweak that argument when they realize that this argument could backfire, and they say, oh, please understand it as culturally necessary. And then they make it a matter of dignity. So that's how they evolve their legal arguments, and they have a battery of lawyers who they can engage because they are flush with funds too. Swapnil Kothari, will this stand the test of legal scrutiny? When you arrest 100 plus people, each one will be tried individually or as a collective. You can ban an organization, but when you get into the individual aspect, you need to have a strong, solid case against each one of them.
Anand, very well put by you, and congratulations to the CNN News team for putting this, especially by Manoj Gupta, the way he put it. I think that itself should be sufficient, along with the evidence that the prosecution will, buttress in the court of law and argue on the basis of that, to show that UAPA, PMLA, IPC, all of these draconian legislations, especially UAPA and PMLA, will be involved, where obviously the burden of proof is extremely pretty much on the accused as opposed to the IPC, where it's on the prosecution. But I think when you put these three together, it's virtually impossible to get bail. And, once they are in the custodial interrogation, they'll sing like canaries. And obviously a lot of things will come out which hitherto have not been come out. Now, multiple agency raids, multiple agencies coming before a court of law. It is very, very rare that it will not stand legal scrutiny. The judge will be more than inclined and more than happy. I mean, he doesn't have much say there at all. Especially, let me tell you, regardless of how much money you have and you have the best defense lawyers, there is very little defense when you have multiple agencies crack down on you at multiple places. So in law, when you have these kind of, this kind of a comprehensive attack or a comprehensive raid on your organization from all fronts, then there is very little that any defense lawyer, howsoever ingenious or brilliant that may be, he or she may be, will be able to sustain the defense. So the point is very simple, that you are looking at a long amount of custodial interrogation, especially, 80, 90 days, easily you'll get it. And then thereafter, of course, you have to produce your charge sheet and then eventually try to get a fast-track trial, because obviously when NIA and all of these agencies are involved, they'll definitely ask for a fast-tracking of these things, and they should. And I think what needs to be done is, apart from freezing bank accounts of certain individuals, I think overall, entirely comprehensively of this organization, the enforcement director will have to work, I think, overnight and, burn midnight oil for a long period of time to crack down on all sorts of funding. Not only bank accounts, but there could be other non-official, or should I say unofficial funding as well from different places. Cash amounts could be huge. I mean, I can only see a lot of amount of cash somewhere coming in, because Hawala and all of these things, usually, of course, they take the flavor of bank transfers as well. But other than that, I'm sure there's a huge amount of cash money involved, Anand. And I think the more you dig in this as a channel yourself, I think the more service you will do to the nation, in helping the judiciary, trying to, eventually, because once you put these things out in the public domain, debate after debate, Anand, the judiciary is always watching these kind of things. And it becomes very easy for them.
But that's what happened. No, what happens, Swapnil, is that no matter how much of fact you put in, it's what is argued in court and how it is argued in court, and on an individual basis what is done. See, one aspect, Mr. Jain, is that this crackdown is comprehensive. It's not just that one account, one office, one leader has been arrested, and they have not rushed to ban the organization. They have first decided to perhaps clean up the organization. That perhaps is the biggest step that they would have taken. In the past, we have not seen this kind of comprehensive crackdown, just banning of organizations, and then they have mushroomed or resurfaced as something else 1 or 2 years later.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. But I was expecting all these raids quite few, at least 2-3 years back, they should have happened.
Right.
I think the hitch was that if PFI is banned, some other organization will spring up in its place. So, but this is no argument. This is no argument, and you have to crack down on such people who are getting money from all possible sources, from narco-terrorism also. This is also one of the angles which NIA is looking into. And in Bihar, in Assam, at other places, the information I have got is very, very alarming, very alarming. And crackdown was required. And I congratulate forces for carrying it out.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jain, Pathikrit Pain and Swapnil Kothari for joining us, and also big commendations to our team of reporters, be it Manoj Gupta, Ashish Mehrishi, Arunima, Ananya, getting us the details, and of course all our reporters on ground who've been tracking the raids and the arrests and of course confiscation of documents. It's been a comprehensive coverage by the team, and we've kept you ahead from 6:30 a.m. onwards this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And we continue to do so when we get you all these exclusive angles and in-depth reasons why the PFI crackdown has happened. The biggest ever crackdown, internal security-wise, that's happened in our country. Stay with us. We're going to take a very short break. But on the way out, get on to IndianoftheYear.com and vote for your favorite among the nominees in the category of entertainment.